Gin and tonic, the drink that fought malaria. Hey cocktail lovers, ready for a story that's shaken, not stirred? Today, I'm diving into the fascinating history of a drink that's not just delicious, but also has a heroic past, the gin and tonic. Spoiler alert, it's not just for happy hour. Believe it or not, this drink saved more Englishmen's lives and minds than doctors. Intrigued? Let's jump in, bottoms up. First, let's talk about malaria. No, it's not a new cocktail ingredient. Malaria is caused by the Plasmodium parasite and leads to some pretty nasty symptoms: fever, chills, vomiting, body aches, you name it. Basically, it's the hangover from hell. It affects thousands of people worldwide. So not exactly the kind of global trend we want, but here's the good news. It's treatable with quinine, the key ingredient in tonic water. Yes, your drink is medicinal. Now, did you know that the iconic gin and tonic was born out of necessity? Necessity is the mother of invention and apparently cocktails. Back in the day, British soldiers stationed in India had to take their daily dose of quinine to fend off malaria. Think of it as their daily vitamin with a twist. The problem, quinine is incredibly bitter. Like, I just licked a battery bitter. To make it more palatable, they mixed it with gin and water. Because why suffer when you can sip? And voila, the gin and tonic was born. Cheers to creative problem solving. Let's dig into quinine a bit more. Don't worry, it's not as boring as it sounds. Quinine is extracted from the bark of the cinchona tree and has been used for centuries by groups like the Quechua people to treat ailments like shivers and diarrhea. Nature's original pharmacy. In the 1700s, a Scottish doctor named George Cleghorn discovered that quinine was effective in treating malaria. Way to go, George. This led British soldiers in India to start drinking it to combat the disease. And thus, the happy hour tradition was born. By the 1800s, soldiers began adding gin, lemon and lime to their quinine tonic, creating the drink we know and love today. Cheers to that and that, literally. Speaking of gin, its history dates back to the Middle Ages. Because even back then, people needed a good drink. A 13th century Flemish manuscript mentions a spirit flavoured with Geneva. Medieval mixology, anyone? By the 1600s, the Dutch were mass-producing it as a medicinal remedy for ailments like gout. Because nothing says cure like a stiff drink. The word gin first appeared in a 1714 book and gained popularity after British soldiers encountered it during battles with the Dutch. War and cocktails, what a combo. Eventually it spread to England and the rest is history. Or should we say, his Tory? Now let's talk about colonial control. Because nothing says fun like colonial history, Fisya. India was central to Britain's power, and controlling it meant relying on a mix of military strength, innovations like guns, and quinine in tonic water to battle tropical diseases like malaria. Talk about a power cocktail. Winston Churchill even claimed that the gin and tonic saved more Englishmen's lives and minds than doctors. And who are we to argue with Winston? To combat malaria, England's sailors carried quinine rations, but its bitter taste led Schweppes to create Indian tonic water. Because even sailors deserve a tasty drink. In the 1870s, Indian quinine tonic was launched, and Brits in India reportedly consumed 700 tons of cinchona bark annually for quinine. That's a lot of bark for your bite. Notably, in 1858, Erasmus Bond launched the first commercial tonic water. Thanks, Erasmus, we owe you one. So next time you sip on that refreshing gin and tonic, remember its storied past and maybe give a little toast to those British soldiers. It's not just a cocktail, it's a lifesaver. And a pretty tasty one at that. Cheers. And remember, drink responsibly, malaria-free of course, like share and subscribe to One Ticket to Freedom.